All right. Welcome to episode 108 of Eat, Drink, Write, an Urban Fantasy Whiteboard.
We're back.
We're back. Taylor's finally done. She's gotten her master's degree. Woohoo!
Woo! Yeah.
And so we're now, both of us, still trying to get back into the normal, quote, normal life groove.
Right. Yeah.
This week, we're going to talk about writing strong female main characters, and I guess just strong female characters in general.
Right.
This can also, it can often be really cliche,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about that too, but there are things that you can do to prevent your character from being cliche. And we want to give a shout out to Deanna Lurie, who is one of our patrons and listeners. And she has published the first book of a series, which is the Winter Blood series. And the first book is called The EOS Key. It's EOS. The EOS Key is how, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She sent Taylor and I copies. I am so excited to be able to get started on that. I haven't had a chance to start it yet, but I am super, super excited.
Same. I've been in the middle of reading. I'm reading the latest Kresley Cole book that came out. So whenever I'm done with that,
yeah,
I'll get to be able to read.
I have to read the whole series over again. So I'm ready to jump into a brand new series. So this is perfect. I will start with this book, and then we'll probably be telling her she has to hurry up and get book number 2
get the second one out. Yeah.
So normally I ask you, how was your week? But it's been like months. I feel
I think it actually has. I think the last time I was looking at our podcast stats, I think the last episode we released was on April 1st.
Wow.
So it has been a very long time. Yeah. So you guys, as I was nearing the end of my degree, I think I was getting probably a little bit more frazzled each time that we did a podcast episode. So that's part of the reason we stopped recording was, we were both busy. I think you had some stuff going on, but I was especially getting ready to defend my master's. So I did that. It defended the master's. It was very good. If I do say so myself. Yeah. And then I went to normal work a couple of days later, and then immediately got sick for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised. You were under so much stress. Your immune level had to be super low.
Yeah. And that's what I figure it was, but I was super sick, took the COVID test, is negative, but who knows, it's been surging a lot lately and going around, and but I remained negative, so it was probably just some wicked head cold that knocked me out. And then I finally got unsick from that about not last week, but the end of the week before that.
Okay.
And so then last week we were starting to settle into, okay, well, now I'm back at normal work, and I got to figure out things to do when I'm leaving and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, because you start your new job on July 1st.
I do. So I have to teach all these. I was about to be mean. I have to teach all these people how to do the things that I do. They're very difficult to teach. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And so
they aren't going to hire a lab manager person just like you.
They've been trying. They've been trying since last year, and they just can't find anybody. So I've split up all of my duties among all of the students. And listen, just to give you a taste, no names, nothing like that. But one of the students walked up to me and said, "Hey, this machine is not heating." And so I said, "Okay, I'll go and check it out." So I walk in there, and I poke things until I figure out how they work, and that's basically my job. And I turned up the heat dial, and it worked.
Wow, let's turn on the heat.
Yeah. So just to give you guys an idea of the stuff that I'm working with is, there's that. So
you're going to be in the same, are you going to be in the same building that when you start your new job? Different building?
Different building.
Well, that's good, because they can't come and track you down.
Oh my gosh. They're still going to try. They've all told me, "Oh, well, we'll probably talk to you." And I'm like, well, good luck.
Yeah. You're on the same campus, so you're close enough in their eyes, probably.
Yeah, no, for real. But they're going to get ignored a lot if they bother me too much. So,
Wow.
How was your month?
Busy.
Yeah.
Finally went and got my eyes checked for the first time in 9 years. The doctor
That's
said,
right.
yeah, doctor said even with my glasses on, I was probably not legal to drive. So we've rectified that. I have glasses that are new now. I can
So
see.
can you like make out my facial features now?
Yeah.
I don't look the same as I did 9 years ago. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I cracked them up at the glasses place because I turned to your dad after I put my glasses on and I'm like, whoa, who are you? And the lady just thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Oh, bless. You're crazy.
Yeah, we've been busy. It's lots of court going on. I really need another associate and I can't get anybody to come work for me.
Yeah.
I don't get paid enough by the state to be able to pay anybody else enough, although we have gotten a raise that starts July 1. So hopefully I'll have some new people starting after that when I can actually pay them something.
Yeah.
What else have I done? I went to the doctors and stuff that I've been putting off. So I finally have gotten myself in order. Last day of school's coming up for Riley this week.
Yep. I know she's excited. I texted her a little bit last week. So
yeah, she didn't have any exams today, but she's got one tomorrow and I think one Wednesday.
Gotcha.
And she took 2 on Friday.
Gotcha. Nice.
So she is very happy to be done. She wants a fiesta on her last day of school. So
lovely.
I've got to plan the fiesta. She hasn't told me how many of her friends are coming yet. So I have no idea what I'm planning.
Well, I'll just make extra food and then you have plenty to eat.
That's true. I think I'm going to have your dad smoke a butt and we're going to
do that'll be good.
Fajitas with smoked butt, smoked fajitas. So yeah, I think I can handle that.
Yeah.
So, all right, I guess. Oh, what are you eating and drinking?
So I'm drinking. I just got home from work, like literally walked in the door and sat down, but quickly made myself some lemon water, some iced lemon water.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
that actually sounds very refreshing.
Very refreshing. And I'm not having any alcohol today because my fiance and I are going to go and work out after this. So
that'll be good.
Yeah. And so
are you working out at the apartment complex or you have a gym membership or?
The apartment complex has like a small little gym that actually people, they're never in there. So like
that's where y'all work out.
And,
very cool. Yay, I'm glad.
Yeah. So lemon water. And then for food, since it's before dinner time, I'll just tell you what I'm going to have for dinner.
Okay.
We made some ribs in the oven last night. So, cooked them at 400 for 5 hours, steamed them.
Wow.
Fold some like foil over the packet that you have them in and put water in the bottom and steam them for about 5 hours. So we're going to have leftover ribs for dinner. And so that'll be quite lovely.
That sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
So our garden is already coming in. We've got lettuce already out there. And so your dad, while I'm doing this, he is going to make a fried chicken salad for dinner.
Lovely. That sounds wonderful.
Well, he's going to bake the chicken, but it's going to be done with because we're keto. He's going to do the chicken tenders in the pork rinds, the crushed pork rinds.
Yeah.
Bake those, make the salad, and then cut the chicken to go on top. So I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds great.
It does. I just got done literally with court like 20 minutes ago. I mean, when
about
when
the time that I walked
you,
in the door. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I've been ready for a drink for the past 2 hours. So I am drinking a real drink. I'm drinking my wine. It's the rosé brut, because that being keto, that's the lower sugar, and taking something that Sid ordered, your fiance ordered before, the frosé.
Oh yeah.
I think I might for Wednesday for the adults at the party, I might make some frozen rosé wine. That would be really refreshing because I'm sure the party's going to be outside. Yeah. It's going to be hot. And so frozen wine, if I can figure out how to do it without exploding in the freezer, but I'll make some frosés. That
sounds lovely.
Yeah, she said it was really good. So I'm like, I'm going to try that.
It is very good. Can confirm.
I can't remember where she ordered it at. Where was it?
It might have been at the Korean barbecue place.
I think it was somewhere in Athens because I wasn't there.
Oh, it was South Kitchen and Bar. downtown.
South Kitchen and Bar. Cool. So
yeah,
y'all should go try that place out.
yeah,
They should sponsor us because I just said that.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all, we have talked your ear off enough. Let's get started. So strong female characters.
Yeah, strong female characters. So we hear about these characters in every genre. I feel like they come up pretty often when we're talking about writing women within our stories. And something that I've noticed on various social media platforms is that there are some debates about what exactly the strong female character entails. What does it mean to be or to have or to write a strong female character?
Yeah.
And so something that I saw, I think it was on Facebook in one of the writing groups that I'm in, somebody said, oh, well, like, why do people seem to think that writing a strong female character means that they have to be physically strong, that they have to be just these kick-ass women, especially in genres that we write, like the urban fantasy genre, where main characters are often fighting supernatural beings as part of their job. So, they've got the gun and the da-da-da and all that jazz.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have this stereotype in their mind that the woman, the strong female character is that badass woman who walks with that chip on her shoulder and she wears the leather pants and she rides a motorcycle,
right?
That kind of thing. And I don't. That's not necessarily what a strong female character is. I mean,
they can be strong female characters, but
they can be. But you don't have to have that to have a strong female character. I think you're a strong person, a strong woman.
Yeah, gotcha.
So if you were going to be a character in a book and you don't wear leather pants and ride a motorcycle, but that doesn't make you any less of a strong woman. So
absolutely,
we will talk more about that.
Yeah, so strong characters come in all shapes, sizes, genders, but obviously this episode we're focusing on female main characters, women, strong women characters. So every creator has, this is, by the way, a direct quote from Masterclass, because I got a lot of information.
Such a good site. Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. If you guys are interested in finding more information about a topic that you're researching for your own writing, Masterclass is a really, really, really good resource for it. So they say every creator has a different idea of how strength is expressed. But there are a few ways to ensure that your audience understands the type of character that you created when your focus is on writing a strong female character. So there are specific ways to get that across.
All right.
So kind of to go along that, there are a million different viewpoints on strength of character. And I feel like that's absolutely not a bad thing. That's how it should be.
Right.
Variety and perspective are super important when it comes to telling our stories. That's the whole point of telling stories, is we get different perspectives and different viewpoints out there. I
think so too. I ran across a definition of what is a strong female character. And the definition is a strong and compelling female character is basically a female that acts instead of being passive, as well as a character with realistic strengths and flaws in a way that makes them interesting, human, and complex.
Yeah, that's a great definition, I think.
And I don't remember where I got that from.
How dare you?
I know. I didn't write it down.
Shoo. Yeah, so, strong female main characters are more than just physically strong. And like I said, they can certainly be physically strong too. But like what makes them strong is less about like, can I punch the shit out of someone, and more about, their well-rounded character attributes and the writing behind them. So things like their backstory, is it well thought out and fleshed out? The character's personality itself, their internal conflicts, things that make characters more realistic.
Yeah. And the ability to survive the rocks that we throw at them as the author.
Which there are many.
That's our whole purpose as the creator, is to throw as many rocks at our characters as we can and to watch them struggle to get through them. And I think it's through that struggle that we can see strength in a female character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did she curl up in a ball in a fetal position and cry, or did she go, well, hell, I got to get through this and let's move forward, and yeah, it sucks, but let's keep going, that kind of strength as opposed to physical strength.
Right. Absolutely. So how can we make sure that the female characters, the women that we're writing, are actually strong women,
and keep from having them be cliche and doing so?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first point that I've got here is, avoid that cliche, which fits within this cliche that we're talking about, but avoid the damsel in distress stereotypes that exist for women and female characters, if you're trying to write that strong woman or strong female character.
Yeah. And even if you're not trying to write just a regular female who might not be as strong as our strong main character, that stereotype really bothers me.
Yeah.
And you do see it in books written by men a lot of times. Like
even women, sometimes women write it too. And that's, potentially because that's what's in the market, that's what's in the field, that's what's always been out there.
Well, and it may be needed in a particular book, but sometimes, like, I've read some fantasy books where I get annoyed with the writer because of the way they portray and not okay. We can have weak characters. We should have weak characters. There
Absolutely.
should be weak characters, and they're going to be women and they're going to be men. But when every female character in that book has this characteristic, it really annoys me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine to make weak people, just make men weak too and make some women strong. Let's shake it up a bit. Not every woman is that damsel in distress.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on that note, this isn't something that I thought about until just now. A lot of times you have really strong females that play the damsel in distress. And I think that would be very fun to write, is to write this really strong character who is pretending to be this damsel in distress to get what she wants.
Right.
That's kind of clever. One of the Raymond Feist series of books, he had a really strong female character as the main character in one of the Rift War books. And she played, it was all politics. Yeah. And she played everything to a T. She played that weak female when it was needed to be played. But
right.
She is one of the strongest characters written by a man.
Yeah.
Really well written. That series is excellent. All of Raymond Feist stuff is really excellent if you like it. A lot of war in there, but really good stuff. And that's a really good example of a character who is a very strong woman character, but also used that damsel in distress stereotype to her own advantage.
Definitely. I will give another one that it's not a book, it's the Avengers, where Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, had been quote unquote captured and was being questioned.
I remember that.
Yes. And so that's one that I think, I haven't read any Raymond Feist. I probably should. But one that maybe a bunch of people will also recognize is, that one scene where she's being questioned and interrogated, and she's got blood running down her mouth, and
and she's pretending to be weak, and then the phone call comes in, and she's like, well, shit, I got to give this up and go and do what I got to do. And she
takes them all out.
Takes them all out and moves on. That is a great example.
Yeah, absolutely. Give your female main character, or any character in general, her own opinions. Let her listen to her gut instead of being just told by someone what to do, like being told by someone else what to do.
Yeah. In fact,
someone else
have her do the opposite of what she's told to do. I love those characters.
Yeah.
Where this wise mentor is like, you need to do this, this, and this. And the woman's going, is that really going to work? I don't think so. I'm going to do it this way. I love that. That is also a way to show strength. And in Beck's case, in Frickin' Fairy's, stupidity sometimes.
I was about to say, I think you got to be a little bit careful with that. And I mean, like, you do obviously have characters that will be that way. But I feel like that can also be extremely frustrating as a reader, especially if it goes not in her favor, just because it's like, okay, like, are you kidding me? Like, you could have listened and like been totally fine.
Yeah.
As opposed to like wandering off and you go, I'm going to do it my way, and then get smacked in the face by a rock.
I mean, I guess if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that the reader really understands her reasoning for not following that, because it annoys me too as a reader when I'm like, well, they told you, why did you do it? But if you can make the reader realize, okay, I would do what she did because that makes sense, then you're golden. That's good. Yeah.
I also think it'd be interesting just to have like two ways that something could work out. The way that this guy said that it would work out. Sure, maybe that would have worked, but also like the way that I'm going to do it is also going to work and is better for me for these reasons.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I guess the moral of the story there is just, flesh out, your character's opinions, let them act on their gut instinct. But don't make them too stupid unless they need to be stupid, I guess.
Right. I mean, and sometimes Beck does stupid things and it's humorous, which a big part of that book is humor.
Think about how frustrated you were with Mac in the Fever series, though, because she could be so stupid.
That's true. I really was.
She was very frustrating. Yeah. Yeah.
You're right.
So just give us some thought. It depends on what your story needs and what your character personality is and all of that kind of stuff. That'll all play into it, of course. But baseline, give her own opinions. Is essentially what I'm going for there.
Yeah.
Along that line, give her own values and beliefs for her to consider as she drives the plot forward. And I'm going to emphasize that last bit that I just said, which is as she drives the plot forward. She needs to have some there's a word for it, character agency. She needs to drive the plot. She needs to make decisions and have her own thoughts.
Right.
That said, let her
basically, I'm sorry, everything that you put in your book should be to drive that plot forward.
Absolutely. Right.
There shouldn't be anything extra. So
and make sure your character is the one doing the driving. They're not being tugged along by a rope, let your characters make their own mistakes based on those opinions. And this is all under the same bullet of, let them have their own opinions.
Right.
I think these characters can still absolutely be influenced, whether they have their own opinions and thoughts or whatsoever. But they can still act upon their own thoughts and their own opinions, even if it leads them down the wrong path.
Now, a way to show a strength arc would be to have them be told something and have them go, well, I would have thought this, but okay, they must know more than I do. And they follow what the other person said and it doesn't work out. And so as they've learned then to start listening to their own gut and to listening to themselves. So that's a way to work that, if you don't start with a strong female character, but you want to end with one, that is a good thing to do along that arc. Frickin' fairies, Beck makes a ton of mistakes, but she has her own opinions. Even though she knows nothing about the Fae world, she thinks that, oh, well, it must be logically this, of course. So she does learn from her mistakes as she goes.
Yes, she's a hellion is what she is.
And I wouldn't say in the beginning of the book that she was a super strong woman character. She was just kind of living her life. She hadn't really been challenged.
I don't know. I disagree with that. She obviously formed her own opinion about being introduced to the Fae world. And she decided, oh yeah, I'm going to throw this knife at this creature and save these kids.
That's true. Yeah, and she's definitely brave for sure.
Yeah. And I think that is the start of a strong character. I'll put it that way.
And I think part of her arc is growing in strength as she goes from the beginning of this book to the end of this book.
Definitely.
But her mistakes really do lead to some really funny situations. She finds herself in some really funny spots.
She's a mess.
She is.
Yeah, she's a mess. Give your strong female characters complex emotions. Let her be hot-headed, but occasionally vulnerable. Let her be, give her opposites.
Love that point when you said vulnerable.
Yeah.
Just because she's strong doesn't mean she's not vulnerable.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh, well, she's got to be strong, so she can't be vulnerable. No, that's not a true statement.
Right.
An excellent example of that is Mercy and Patricia Briggs' Mercy Thompson series.
Yeah.
She is super strong. I mean, she's been strong from day one. She was strong from the time she was a baby and first turned into a coyote and her mom dumped her on the werewolves. But so she's been strong, but she is incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah, she is.
She is super vulnerable.
And that story is very fun as an example because it's written in first person. So we get to kind of experience her being vulnerable as the reader. We get to experience it with her, which is pretty cool.
It is.
But yeah, like let the emotions be complex. Your character might be quiet and quote unquote shy, but they might also be very fierce.
Yeah.
Let them have varying emotions. Think of your own emotions. They're not going to have just one emotion, or one way of being, et cetera, et cetera. Let her debate her own wants and what she's willing to do to get them. And I think that's a really important point, is because you want to create that tension and that conflict and those inner conflicts within your characters. And that's a really good way to do it. How far are you willing to go to achieve a goal?
And I think that bar might move as the book goes on. They might have a bar where, oh, I would never go beyond this. And then circumstances happen where they're required to do more than they ever expected that they would. And that's part of the arc as well. Why were you making a face?
It's not important, but I was just drinking my water, and then it just dribbled down the side of the glass, and I don't understand how that happened. So I take
you just
after
made
you.
A funny face. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to figure out what happened, and if it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's
okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Give your strong female characters individuality.
And you're not even drinking.
Oh, I'm sure not.
I'm feeling so much better now after court, after I've had, I don't know, not even a half a glass. I feel so much better.
Good. Give your character her individuality.
Yes.
So give her a sense of self as a character.
And along those lines, when you're talking about her sense of self, give her self-doubt.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because that's another thing, we look at people and we're like, oh, they're so strong. But in real life, they have doubts about what they're doing.
Absolutely.
If you're a leader and you're like, okay, I'm going to take them this way, they're questioning themselves all along. So yeah, self-doubt is, especially if you write in first person, it's easy to get across that self-doubt.
Definitely. I ran into somebody in the hallway at work the other day, and she was at my defense. And so watched me give my talk, and she was like, oh my God, you did so great on your master's talk. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I'm worked really hard on it, blah, 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 whatever. She was like, yeah, I was so jealous that you weren't afraid at all of public speaking. And I was like, whoa. Like, you should have seen me 5 minutes beforehand. I was dying. Yeah. She was like, are you serious? It didn't look that way. And I was like, you
did great. I mean, but I knew that you were nervous, and I knew that you were scared, but yeah, you came across fully strong.
Right. Yeah.
And so that point, in the back of your mind, if we were writing you in first person, you would be going, I'm gonna vomit now. And
absolutely.
And I think that's a great thing to show that strength is more than, there's a lot more going on with a strong female than what you see on the outside.
Just outward confidence kind of thing. Yeah.
This individuality is regardless of the character's relationship status, which actually has nothing to do with individuality. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, she has to have a relationship, and, that's going to make her, not quite herself, or she's going to be so focused in this love triangle, or she's going to be, that she loses a sense of self. And it's, what's the point of a character if they lose their sense of self? Right. So it has nothing to do with her relationship status, which she might be in one, she might not be. Regardless, it doesn't matter. The character needs her own sense of identity. Think about what her goals are, her ambitions, her hobbies, her dreams, her wants and desires, everything, that everybody tells you when you're building a character. These characters need to have these things. Make sure they do. I think a lot of this that we're talking about for a strong female character goes to characters in general. I agree. I agree. And I think the point of making a whole episode about the strong female character is just to kind of, we talked about the cliches of what a strong female character is, and, what is expected of a strong female character. And really, I think what we're trying to do with this episode is just show like, hey, yeah, these characters are also just characters. They're people, and make them as such kind of thing. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, think about what are their skills. Give her a skill that she's good at, like Katniss in the Hunger Games. Yeah. She was excellent at archery. That's how she fed her family.
Right.
And that skill then was used in the plot of the book,
Right.
so she had a skill that was necessary because it fed her family, but you also on that end don't want her to be perfect at everything. You don't.
Correct. Yeah. Then you
Yeah.
get the quote unquote Mary Sue cliche.
Yeah. And then also, with Katniss, what was her motivation? This can also show strength because Katniss, she volunteered as tribute to save her little sister, which is very strong to me. She didn't want her sister going. And so she volunteered.
And she took over. She didn't want to go either, but
yeah, she is, I think, a good example of a strong female character.
Absolutely.
And she had tons of issues.
Yeah, she sure did, as she should have.
Yeah.
The world that it's Suzanne Collins, I think.
Suzanne Collins, yes.
Yeah, it's set up. It's been, I think, like 10 years since I read those books. But the world that she set up, there should have been a lot of issues for all of the characters.
All the characters should be broken. Even the rich and powerful people were broken.
Yeah.
In that dystopian society. I love dystopian novels.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're one of my favorites. In fact, I like watching dystopian shows on TV, and we'll be scrolling through things to watch, and your dad will go, "Oh God, it's a dystopian one. Your mom's going to want to watch this."
Yeah, checks out.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I want to watch it.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Good grief. Give your character flaws. We covered this in our characterization episode. I don't remember what episode that is right now. I didn't look it up.
But I know we do a flaw episode?
No, not flaws specifically, but like when talking about making characters, building characters, we did talk about giving them flaws.
We might ought to do some topics on flaws. I'm going to write that down.
That would be a pretty good idea.
I think that would be a good idea. Because, when we're trying to create our characters and we're using our character sheets or however it is that we create our characters, what flaws should she have or he have? I think that would be a really good topic. So if we haven't done it, we'll do it.
Right. Yeah. Because flaws make characters realistic. We all have flaws, I have anxiety. I think that's one of my flaws. I think it's also a strength because I get a lot of things done, but it's also a flaw, and it hinders some aspects of my life. So, there's that.
Your dad can't tell directions. If he's in a mall, if he's inside a building, God help us if he's trying to lead us, because we would be lost.
Poor dad.
I know. Now he's fine out in the parking lot. He can find our car. Whereas inside the mall, I'm like, no, it's all this way. And outside, I'm like, where's my car?
That's good. You guys are a good match.
We even each other out. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Let your character struggle. Everyone struggles. Strong female characters should also struggle. You don't want to make a character with the idea of, making a strong female character and make her have zero struggle.
Yeah. That's boring.
Right. And it's not a strong character.
Right.
She might be strong on paper, quote unquote, but the strength of a character, I think, goes into how well-rounded they are, and struggles are a part of everybody's lives. Think about how these characters deal with those flaws and those struggles. That's going to add a lot of strength to characters. It's going to add a lot of depth and detail to a character.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a great point. I think the way they deal with their flaws and mistakes is a great way to show your reader how strong they are. I go back to Katniss in the Hunger Games. She has all kinds of flaws. I mean, she doesn't communicate well at all.
No,
she is not interested in playing any kind of politics game. She doesn't follow rules very well.
Yeah.
And she wasn't physically strong per se.
Right.
But her flaws, I mean, to me, she is a super strong female character. There is no question in my mind that anybody reading that book would say she is a strong female character.
Yeah.
But, she wasn't physically strong. And it was through her flaws that we got to see how strong she was.
Absolutely. And how she overcame those flaws, or how she dealt with them, even if she didn't overcome them, et cetera, et cetera.
I loved that part where she was doing it was the tryouts or something, and they weren't listening, and she went ahead and shot the apple in the mouth of the pig or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just see her little brain snapped and she's like, well, I'll show them. And boo, she did it. And
Yep.
that was brilliant.
It was.
Whereas
It sure was.
A weak character would have been too afraid or too timid to do that. And she's
Right.
like, fuck
You
you
know
guys.
what?
Pay attention to me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For sure. Add a level of toughness to your character. So this can be physical toughness, punchy, kicky, fighty, emotional toughness, mental toughness, or a mixture of all of those. Is she smart against her foes? Does she simply hack them down with a sword, which I think is a lot of the time what Kate Daniels does.
I was just thinking Kate Daniels, exactly Kate Daniels.
Does she have wit, which Kate Daniels also does, or charisma, which Kate Daniels does not?
No.
And does she use those attributes to get her out of tough spots?
And when I think of Kate Daniels, the first thing that comes to mind is not intelligence. Now, she is intelligent.
She's smart, right?
But that's not the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about how strong she is.
Well, because in the first book, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember quotes or anything like that. It's been a while, but she's like, how do I figure out who is the bad guy here? I just, hack people up with a sword until I find the right one.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Toughness is subjective, but whatever you decide on is going to add depth to your character and make a stronger woman, a stronger female character within your novel.
Mm-hmm.
Also give her some female allies. So this is one that I thought was really interesting because I didn't actually ever really think about it.
Right.
And so I took a quote directly from Masterclass again. And so this is, sometimes writers try to make a female character appear stronger by turning her into a tomboy who only has male friends. However, your female protagonist can just as easily draw strength from the women who surround her. Giving your female lead character female friends can help her feel more like a real life person.
Yeah, for sure. And the number one thing that I think of when I think of this, where she doesn't have to be the tomboy, Buffy. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's not a tomboy at all.
Wants to go to the mall and
she wants her nails to shop. She's a cheerleader. She loves her hair, clothes, and she's not. I mean, she is physically strong because of her powers,
sure. Right?
But the things that she faces, her decisions, all make her mentally strong as well.
Yes.
And her best friend was a female, which was Willow, who is another strong female character. And, you wouldn't look at Willow at first and think her strong.
Yeah.
Because she seems timid and all of that. She is a strong character. Her intelligence.
And I also,
her strength.
I think a lot of Willow's strength as a character also just comes from her character arc as she goes through the season. She becomes, she starts off as this timid character and she becomes this badass witch.
Yeah.
And so just the growth alone makes that a strong character. I think you're absolutely right. I think Willow is fantastic.
So let your badass chick of a main character love pink.
Yep.
Or have her have a favorite stuffed animal.
Let
her enjoy girly things. That
absolutely
all makes her a well-rounded character.
Absolutely.
She shouldn't be this one-dimensional strong person. That's not a realistic character.
Well, I always think of, so my fiance works with pigs for a living. Like she does a lot of work with literally pigsties. And so she's not afraid to get down and dirty and she'll be covered in pig shit and all this stuff. She's wrestling little piglets and heaving them around and, just gets all matter of grossness on her. But her favorite color is pink and she likes to dress up and she likes to do her hair and she likes to do her makeup and all this kind of stuff. And that's, I think she's a very good example of you can not be afraid to get down and dirty and have your hands in the mud and literally in pig shit versus, I also like to paint my nails. And
yes, I think she's a great example of you can be a strong female character and still like the girly stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So give your female characters a well-planned character arc. And we've touched on this a little bit already. But just give a decent arc, and that alone is going to add strength to your character.
Yeah, I mean, I think character growth is meant for all characters.
Yeah.
But giving that good arc to your female characters that you want to be strong to make them stronger is likely to resonate with your audience. We can watch the timid Willow grow, and we grow with her as she becomes stronger and stronger. And then let her learn, grow, be heard, become a leader.
Yep.
Maybe she learns to relax and take life slower if she was one of those go people. Or maybe if her weakness was the refusal to ask for help, have her learn to ask for help. I think this is a good one. If we're portraying her as strong, this can show that you can be strong and still ask for help, which
absolutely,
I think a lot of men, not all men, of course, I'm not trying to stereotype, but they don't want to ask for directions. That's the stereotype of men. But I think that that's a good way to show that arc. Maybe she learns that maybe she started off with a stereotype thinking that less intelligent people are not as good as she is.
Oh, sure.
But have her learn that all people have something to offer, not just intellect, but skills or whatever. And that she learns to look at people for what their strengths are, as opposed to just dissing them. Oh, they're not smart.
Right. Yeah.
And success, keep this in mind. Success in being a strong female character does not mean becoming more masculine.
Right. And I don't think anybody ever really thinks oh, success is masculine. I think it is very ingrained into our society in the way that we think, and the media that comes through, in all books and TV shows and that kind of thing. For a very long time, success was a quote unquote masculine trait.
Right.
So yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's very important to reiterate that success is for all walks of life, all people. And not just a masculine trait.
Yeah, I think this podcast episode is really good for reminding people to make your female characters well-rounded.
Right. Yeah. Right.
If you go into it going, well, I really need to have a strong female in this, and you go with if you don't put the work into it, you might find yourself doing the stereotypical stuff. So I think that this episode is good to help you not do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I know that was not very eloquent. Yes, I'm a writer. Yeah. Words are my thing.
Fine. Well, anybody who's listening to episode 108 of our podcast,
they know us already.
We are not eloquent speakers, but perhaps we are better writers. Don't laugh at that. It's true.
I mean, it's true. It's true. I'm just drinking. Okay.
Fair enough. Let your characters surprise you. So I don't know about you guys, but my characters, all of them, regardless of gender, surprise me all the time. But especially allow your female characters to deviate from your plan if that is what they so desire. They do things on their own that I don't plan, and I'm generally a plotter. I like to plot out and have my plot lines, my ducks in a row, if you will. But a lot of the time, my characters will still be like, that's a really good idea, but I'm going this way. Oh, okay. Sure, let's go that way. I'll redo my plots. It's fine. But by giving them the freedom to make their own choices, it's going to add a strength of character, because it's going to feel more organic. It's going to feel like something that character would do, because you're not forcing them to do something according to your vision or plan. Not that it's bad to follow your vision or plan by any means, but if your character decides to do something, give it a shot.
And you know what? You can always cut it and start over
and go
again.
Back. Yeah.
So.
Which I have done. I've had to rework things because my characters just are like, I'm going to take a right here. And I'm like, okay. So we take right, and then it doesn't work. And I'm like, we're going back.
I agree with that 100%. I am more of a panster. And my characters constantly go their own way. A lot of things surprise me when I'm writing. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. How did they think of that? And your dad is like, you wrote it. What do you mean? How did they think of it? You obviously thought of it. I'm like, no, I didn't think of it. They did it themselves.
Oh, Sid has a grand time talking to me about my characters talking in my head. because my characters do talk to me, and I'll sit down to try to write a book, and she's like, oh, which one are you working on? This one? And I was like, no, that bitch won't talk to me, so I'm working on this other one. And she just is like, oh, okay. So characters definitely have a mind of their own to some degree, but for sure. So
I actually came across this quote test, and I don't know how to pronounce it. It's the Bechdel test, I think.
Oh yeah, Bechdel.
You've heard of that? Okay.
I have. Yeah.
And it basically applies to movies, but you can apply it to books as well. And the test has 3 quote rules. The movie or / book must have at least 2 women in it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, they must talk to each other, the women. And number 3, about something other than a man, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's a huge thing. If you actually look at media or read books or watch TV shows or what have you, you'd be surprised how many things do not pass the Bechdel test.
Really? I'm gonna have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's wild. It's insane. Really, like, first of all, just having 2 female characters that talk to each other, like, that doesn't happen a lot, and it's very surprising.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's interesting. The test doesn't explain what it is that makes a strong woman, but it's good to think about that test when you're writing your book. Do you have more than one woman? Do you have the women talk to each other and about something other than, oh, he's so cute, right?
Yeah.
And have enough women in the story that they can talk to each other.
Correct.
Women talk. We talk all the time, and we usually talk to each other.
Yeah.
We don't just
believe it or not
to men, and we don't talk to the women about men. I mean, it just, we have real lives too. And it's also very rare for women to live in isolation from other women.
That's true.
We need other women.
Yeah, there's a joke, we Roman pacts, we are packs of women.
Oh, really?
We go to the
bathroom together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely. And, don't just throw in, oh, I have to have another woman to make her talk to, have it plot oriented.
Yeah, for sure. But don't just do something just to,
but it should. I mean, and think about real life. And I think probably all of our listeners know this. They're writers. So
yeah.
But just something to keep in the back of your mind, that Bechdel test. I had never heard of that before.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then think about along those lines, just think about the women in your everyday life. Cause you were saying we all talk to other women.
Yeah.
But think about the women in your life, whatever gender you are. There are just so many people that we interact with every day, at work, within our friendships, our acquaintances, our families, etc. There are lots of people that you interact with every day. So just think about the women in your life that you interact with and kind of find the strong qualities in those women around you. My cat is currently locked up in the bedroom because the other cat is supposed to be out roaming around. And
still having to take turns. They still haven't gotten along. They don't get along still.
No, Kitty would very much enjoy murdering Catson if allowed. So Catson has decided to murder the door about it.
I see.
And so that's what I was hearing. And I wasn't quite sure what was happening.
I would have thought by now y'all have been living together for a while now. The cats, I would have thought, would have gotten along by now.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Oh my God, he's destroying the door though. So, he's a punk. Anyway, find the strong qualities in the women around you and use those as examples for writing strong characters of your own.
This makes me think of Harry Potter. Hermione is a super strong character. She starts off as that little kid. I don't remember how old they are when they start, 11 or something, when they go to Hogwarts. And she starts off as this insufferable know-it-all who declares, she loves reading and learning and all of that. And then throughout the series, I've kind of got chills because it really is brilliant how the author did it. She blossoms into this intelligent woman who ends up being the glue that holds her 2 best friends together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though, on that point, the Bechdel test, even though
Yeah.
her best friends are men or boys,
Hmm.
she has female friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
all throughout. Her sheer intelligence saves her best friends many, many times.
Yes.
She doesn't crack under pressure. The strength and compelling nature of her character, it lies in her change throughout the series. I mean, remember at the end, which I'm sure everybody by now has read, Harry Potter, where she even has to make her parents forget about her.
Yeah.
How
Yeah, she
strong is that?
right. Well, and even just like as a, as a written character, that's just such a huge decision and a self-sacrificial decision.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very indicative of strength of character.
Yeah, it gives me chills.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was a great one. And then in Lord of the Rings, another example of a really good, strong female character that's set in a time when men ruled was Eowyn and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
She, I mean, she has, she's emotional, she's soft, she falls in love with Aragorn. But on the other side, she fights for what she believes in, fights for who she loves. And in a world that's made of men are the strength in that world. And she shows compassion for her uncle, pain and sadness at the death of her cousin, compassion for Mary, who is also wanting to be somebody that gets ignored all the time. I think
Yes.
she is a very, very good example of a strong female character who is also feminine.
Yes.
Yeah, she fell in love with Aragorn, but that didn't overcome her being, oh, I love Aragorn, so I can't. No, she was still going to lead her people to safety, and regardless of what happened to Aragorn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which I think she is a good one to study if you want to look at how to do a strong character, especially if you are writing a fantasy novel that's set where men are the strong ones, so to speak.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And then some stereotypes to avoid.
Before you get into this, do you mind if
Okay.
I go squirt water at my cat?
Okay.
I will be right back.
Okay.
So I discovered it was not Cat Son that was attacking the door. It was
Oh.
Kitty trying to attack Cat Son through the door.
Oh. So did you squirt her?
She had wandered away by the time I got there, so I can't just squirt her.
Because she won't know what she did wrong. I
right.
see.
So whatever. I didn't even realize she was out there. I thought she was still sleeping. But anyway.
No, she's bothering your cat son.
She sure is.
Okay. So some stereotypes to remember, to think about, and try to avoid. A woman's main focus is not getting married.
Right. Yeah.
Although, unfortunately, one of my nieces, so your cousin, she went to school with a friend who that was their whole goal in life. So it's still out there. That stereotype really is in real life still out there. I mean, that she went to college to find a husband.
Wild.
I mean, crazy. Anyway,
people are wild.
But generally, that is not what a woman's main focus is. Her ultimate goal in life should not be, oh, someday I'm going to get married.
Yeah.
As the only way to ever be happy.
Right.
I mean, there may be plots that do involve the goal of marriage. I mean, in romance novels, I mean, there is a time and a place for it, but, and also in a thriller, maybe the fiance was kidnapped or something. And so of course they're going to be concentrating on their loved one. But in general, it's not every woman's dream to just get married as their end goal in life. We have
absolutely
real goals in life.
Yeah.
And then, as you said earlier, have them think for themselves. Don't have your women characters blindly follow. Have them challenge authority, question why the rules are the rules. It's also cliche to have the strong female character be good at male things.
Right.
I mean, it can work. Like Mercy's a car mechanic.
Yeah.
In Patricia Briggs series, but she has a college degree in history.
Right.
So it can be done. I'm just saying, be aware as you're writing your characters. Think about it. Just don't automatically have a woman do a male thing to be considered strong.
For sure. For sure.
A strong female character is a character first, which is what we've been saying.
Yes.
Woman second.
Yes.
She should be as well-rounded as the male characters. She is
Absolutely.
a character. She should have her own personality, like you said, her own desires, her own story. And, these are even for not the main character. All the women,
all of them, yeah,
they should all be well-rounded characters in and of themselves.
Yes.
She doesn't have to cuss. She doesn't have to wear the leather pants. She doesn't have to ride a motorcycle to be strong. Now, you and I, when we wrote our first book together, what was her name? Kitten. Yeah, that was what we did. That we went straight for that stereotype.
We did the cliche. We sure did.
I mean, we were new at what we were trying to do. So,
yes,
and I think as you learn, so it would have been nice for us to have listened to this podcast.
I agree.
Before we tried to write that book.
Well, and granted, we're also writing that book like 13 years ago at this point. So, there were those cliches and stuff, but urban fantasy was blossoming. It's been around for a very long time, but was starting to become popular.
It was
around then.
It was, and those were the cliche. There are things that are cliche for a reason. I mean, we always say that.
Yeah.
And you can always have her do those things. Have her ride a motorcycle. I love motorcycles. So have your character do that. Just don't use that as a mechanism to make her seem strong.
Right.
She's, leather pants and cussing aren't enough to make her, she's a strong character.
Yeah, correct.
Now, keep in mind, as we said, she's the bottom line to this podcast is a strong female character is just a strong character who happens to be female.
Yes.
That's the main point. That's it.
Yep.
That's the whole point of this.
That's the whole episode. Wow.
This in a nutshell.
That's the epitome of, wow, that could have been an email. And we talked for an hour about it. So that's all the notes that I have.
Me too.
On writing a strong female, strong women characters. I do have an interview question for you though.
Okay.
I know all of your main characters are female characters, so are mine. How did you go about giving them complex emotions and conflicts?
I think just by throwing rocks at them, I put them in situations that they would never have expected. Yeah. And that helps show their complexity and their strength. They don't just buckle and cry like, poor Beck probably should have done a long time ago.
Yeah.
They forge ahead. They deal with whatever I've thrown at it. And a lot of time they do this by surprising me. The way they overcome what I've thrown at them is something I've never even expected. Respected. Yeah.
False.
I do have one book with a male main character.
Yeah.
Earth Asunder. Do you remember that one?
Is that the one where the earth is cracked?
Yep. The earth is cracked.
That's right.
Theron is the main character of that book, but I do have, it's kind of like Game of Thrones in the fact, it's nowhere near as good as Game of Thrones yet, but it is like that in that there's all these different characters going on at the same time, but he is the one that starts off the book.
Absolutely.
He is a young male and ends up having magic and is forced to go and learn how to deal with his magic. But I haven't finished that one yet.
Neat. So, yeah, I forget about that one. I think much the same. I like to put my characters into very sticky situations, as you should, I think, as a writer. It's usually about the inciting incident. You have your inciting incident and your character has to decide, what am I going to do about this? And I think what really defines, strong characters is going against their own internal desires to answer that call. And I think that's a
great way to put that.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to have that internal conflict. So, my characters want, if, for example, in my Aura books, my character wanted an aura, she got the aura and realized, oh, wow, this aura is dangerous. And then, so she has to she's like, okay, well, I don't want this one. I want a different one. I'm going to go get a different one. And then realizes a little bit further in, she's like, all right, this aura is for me. Like, I will keep this one. And so deciding, answering that call is a way to show strength in a character, I think. And I think I do that in all of my novels.
I love the arc of how things go. Like I think of your Louis and Delaney, and Delaney's arc is huge.
Yeah.
Because she starts off in this like
little light
bubble, protected. She has no idea what the real world is.
Right.
I mean, she's got issues. I mean, she's got hardships and things, but she has no idea. And so her arc is amazing. It makes me think again of that movie that I don't know if you've watched it yet, Truth or Dare.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Where she starts off having, she knows what's right and what's, this is good and this is right and this is what you have to do. And by the end of the movie, she's like, holy shit, I've got to expand that. And she does something that is way beyond what she ever would have been when she started off in the movie. That to me, that's one of the best character arcs. You got to watch that movie at some point.
I know. I think I watched the wrong one. Because you told me about it a long time ago, and I was like, okay, I'll go watch it. And I watched one of them, but I don't think it was the right one.
Yeah, one of them is, there are two by the same name, and one of them is in Mexico, I think, and it's all, that's not the right one.
Yeah.
This one is like American kids doing the stupid, let's play Truth or Dare, and it goes way haywire.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll have to dig that up.
Yeah.
I do have a sentence.
Okay.
And it's less related to the topic of our episode and more related to us. And it's a bit of dialogue. And it's finally, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. So just use that anywhere in a piece of work. I usually start a new one. I limit myself to a page just to really make it a challenge for myself. And to work on specific things like descriptors or sentence structure, that kind of thing. And use that sentence anywhere in that work. And that's the sentence challenge. So.
And you can email it to us and we'll read it online. We've got several
someday,
so
maybe.
Far. We got to have enough to read. So y'all need to do that.
Definitely.
You want me to do the outro this time?
Yes, go for it.
All right. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Come check us out on our website. It is www.eatdrinkrightpodcast.com. There you can find links to our social media. We have Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram. If you like our podcast, think about supporting us. You can do that at our Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/EDW podcast. Thank you to the patrons we have right now. We love you. We could not do this without you. Thank you so much. I want to again shout out to Deanna for publishing her book. I am so proud of her. I cannot wait to read it.
Yes,
you
congratulations.
Guys definitely go check it out. It is book 1 of the Winter Blood series, and it's called The Eos Key. And the author is D.M. Lewry, Lewry. You can find her on Amazon. We are so proud to have her as a sponsor. And again, thanks for listening. It's good to be back, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, see you next week. Thank you, guys.